In downtown Long Beach, condos are currently sitting on the market for a median of 45 days with nearly 5 months of supply piling up. Meanwhile, just a few miles away in the east side, single-family homes are flying into escrow in 6 days flat, selling for more than 104% of their asking price. If you own a home in Long Beach right now, you're not selling into a single unified market. You are selling into one of two violently different realities. Depending on your zip code and your property type, you're either holding a scarcity asset that buyers are fighting over, or you're holding inventory in a sector where leverage has completely shifted to the buyer. Selling into this version of the market, especially here in January 2026, means the difference between dictating your terms or chasing the market down by tens of thousands of dollars. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which lane your home is in and whether it makes more sense to sell in the next 3 to 6 months or hold given the specific numbers hitting our neighborhoods right now. If you're thinking about selling in the next 3 to 6 months, you're navigating a window defined by a massive divergence. We have a thaw in interest rates finally unlocking demand, but we also have a fracture in the insurance market that is complicating deals daily. The wildcard for your equity isn't just the price your neighbor got last year, it's whether the current buyer pool can actually close at today's rates and insurance premiums. The stakes here are real. Mispricing a condo in downtown right now could mean sitting for months and facing a stigma that could cost you serious equity. On the flip side, underpricing a home in Dorado Park could mean leaving money on the table in a market that is structurally starved for inventory. Picture the drive from the waterfront to the suburbs. In downtown, you see for sale signs lingering, new construction cranes at Portico project adding future supply, and buyers taking their time. Drive 15 minutes east to Dorado Park or Los Altos and the streets are quiet because there is almost nothing to buy. The signs go up and they come down a week later. We are seeing the city split into 3 distinct zones. You have the sprint zones where inventory is vanishing, you have the correction corridors where prices are softening, and you have the premium fortresses where values are high but velocity is slowing down. To understand your position, we have to look at the scarcity foundation. Citywide, the single-family market has tightened to just 1.6 months of supply. In real estate economics, anything under 3 months is a strong seller's market. At 1.6, we have a state of acute scarcity. However, the condo market tells a completely different story. Citywide, condo supply has risen to 3.7 months. While that is technically a balanced market, the trend line is softening. We have a split regime where it is a seller-dominant market for land and a buyer-leaning market for density. You might be wondering where your specific home fits in this split. I have homeowners reaching out every single week asking if they missed the window or if the spring market will be better. If you want clarity on your specific address without the guesswork, you can grab the Long Beach Equity Snapshot using the link in the description. It's a tool designed to show you the data for your street, not the city average. I'm Mr. Hernandez, your real estate advisor here in Long Beach, California. My job isn't to tell you what you want to hear, it is to build a flight plan for your equity based on the hard data. Citywide averages are dangerous because they smooth out the risk. A stable average price often hides a crash in one neighborhood and a boom in another. In this update, I'm going to map out exactly where the speed and pricing power live so that you don't underprice or panic. I'll show you where affordability ceilings are capping prices and how the insurance crisis and the recent Fed rates move are reshaping your roadmap for 2026. Let's start with where the market is moving fastest. These are the sprint zones. This includes the Eastside, Traffic Circle, Dorado Park, Los Altos, and North Long Beach. If you look at the Eastside and Traffic Circle area, single-family homes are moving with incredible velocity. The median days on market here has dropped to just 6 days. Even more telling, sellers are receiving a median of 104.3% of their last list price. In Dorado Park and East Long Beach, the scarcity is even more extreme. We are down to 1.0 months of supply. There is effectively no inventory. Sellers here are receiving 100% of their asking price, and homes are in escrow in a median of just 12 days. In Los Altos, we saw 30 closed sales in December alone against only 26 active listings. That means homes are selling faster than they can be replaced. And in North Long Beach, despite being an entry-level price point, listings, homes are pending in 11 days and are selling for 100.4% of list price. In plain English, that means if you list a clean, single-family home in these neighborhoods, you're not waiting for the buyer. The buyers are waiting for you. The market is liquid, aggressive, and intolerant of hesitation. If you own a home in these sprint zones, you might be asking yourself if you can price aggressively given how hot the market is, or if you risk stalling out. Based on the 6 to 12 day market times and list price ratios over 100%, the data says you have significant pricing power. If your home is turnkey, you can push the price because the demand is deep enough to support it. But keep in mind, if your home needs work, that premium shrinks. You really have two paths here. If you prioritize speed, the data supports listing right in line with recent sales to generate immediate leverage. But if your goal is to maximize every dollar, the inventory shortage gives you room to test a higher price point, provided you accept that it might take longer to find that one specific buyer. Just remember, this leverage exists for single-family homes. Trying to push the price on a condo in the same zip code is a different story. That is where strategy session matters most. Now, if you're looking to buy in these sprint zones, you might be worrying about overpaying if you have to bid over asking. With inventory at 1 month and prices holding firm or rising, you're paying a premium for scarcity. Here's the rule of thumb. If you see a home you like in El Dorado or the Eastside, you do not have the luxury on sleeping on it. You have to be decisive. The data shows these homes disappear in under 2 weeks. Your leverage isn't the price. It is your speed and certainty. Now let's move to the premium and ceiling segments. This covers Belmont Shore, Naples, Belmont Heights, and Bixby Knolls. In Belmont Heights, the single-family market is surging. The median price hit $1,560,000 in December, with sellers commanding 104% of their list price. Inventory here is incredibly low with just 6 active listings. However, moving to Belmont Shore and Naples, the dynamic changes. While prices are high with a median of just under $1.6 million, the market is slower. Days on market here is 46 days, and sellers are getting 97.5% of their list price. And in Bixby Knolls, we are seeing a correction. Days on market has slowed to 38 days, and sellers are receiving 95.8% of their original list price. Said simply, the luxury market is not uniform. In Belmont Heights, scarcity is driving bidding wars. But in Bixby Knolls and Belmont Shore, buyers are hitting an affordability wall or becoming much pickier, forcing sellers to negotiate. If you own a home in Bixby Knolls or Belmont Shore, you might be wondering why you aren't getting offers when your neighbor sold for more last year. The 95.8% list price ratio in Bixby Knolls signals that sellers are currently overpricing relative to buyer demand. If you want to sell in under 40 days, you cannot price at tomorrow's value. You must price slightly ahead of the market correction. To get ahead of this, you really have two moves. You can price ahead of the market correction to undercut the stale competition and generate volume, or if you stick to a premium price, you need to budget for a longer timeline and be open to negotiating credits during escrow. In Belmont Heights, you have more leverage to hold firm, but in Bixby Knolls, the data suggests you have less. Knowing your specific microclimate is critical. If you're buying in these premium zones, you might be asking if there is room to negotiate on these million-dollar homes. In Bixby Knolls and Belmont Shore, the answer is yes. If a home has been on the market for 30 days in Bixby Knolls, the data supports an aggressive offer. Sellers are statistically accepting discounts. You can afford to be patient here. You have more options than buyers in the east side, so use that slower velocity to your advantage. Now let's pivot to condos and townhomes, specifically in downtown Belmont Heights, Central Long Beach, and West Long Beach. In downtown Long Beach, we have an inventory glut. There are nearly 5 months of supply, 4.7 to be exact. The median days on market is 45 days, and sellers are receiving 98.5% of list price. In Belmont Heights, the condo market is also softer than the single-family market with 3.8 months of supply, and sellers getting 98.6% of list. Conversely, in West Long Beach, the condo market is frozen tight with 0 active listings in December. And in Central Long Beach, despite volatility, units are moving in 13 days because the price point is accessible at a median of $439,000. What that really means for you if you sell is that in the downtown and Belmont Heights condo markets, you're not in the driver's seat. Buyers have choices and they are using that leverage to demand repairs, credits, and price adjustments. If you own a condo in downtown or Belmont Heights, you might be worrying about your unit sitting on the market for months. With days on market dragging to 45 days, the risk of staleness is real. If you want to exit, you must price aggressively against the building's recent comps. You cannot test the market here. So if you need to sell, you can't just throw a price out there. You have to price your unit to be the obvious choice in a saturated building rather than just another option. Alternatively, you can focus on financial incentives like offering credits for a rate buy down, which often motivates buyers more than cosmetic upgrades in this environment. Also, if your HOA has pending assessments or insurance issues, you must disclose and plan for that up front, or the deal will likely die in escrow. If you're buying a condo in downtown or Belmont Heights, you might be wondering if you can get a deal here. The data says yes. With nearly 5 months of supply in downtown, you're the price. If you're looking to buy a condo in downtown or Belmont Heights, there's no reason to rush. Compare HOAs, look at the reserves, and negotiate. You should be value focused. You can likely secure a unit under list price with significant closing cost credits. Now let's look at the scoreboard. In the sprint zones like the Eastside and Dorado Park, single family homes are vanishing in 6 to 12 days and or above full price. In the premium zones like Bixby knows, the market is correcting, with homes taking over a month to sell and closing below list price. In the condo sector, especially downtown, inventory is piling up, giving buyers leverage and forcing sellers to be patient. If you're an owner in the east side, you have speed and power. If you're an owner in Bixby knows, you need patience and precision. If you're selling a condo in downtown, you need a strategy to stand out in the crowd. If you want to translate this scoreboard into a specific plan for your address, you can schedule a quick strategy session using the link below. Now that's the neighborhood math. Now let's talk about the forces you won't see on a neighborhood market report. These are the macro drivers that are quietly reshaping the playing field. 3 major forces are colliding right now. First, interest rates. As of January, the 30-year fixed mortgage rate has settled around 6.15%, following the Federal Reserve's rate cut in December. Second, the central bank's posture. The Fed has officially pivoted to cutting rates to protect the labor market. This thaw is what is unlocking the pent-up demand we are seeing in the sprint zones. Third, the regional divergence. While national headlines might say the market is cooling, pending sales in the West region surged 9.2% in the most recent data. In plain English, the freeze is over. Buyers who were locked out at 7% are coming back at 6%. For sellers, this means the buyer pool is expanding, but it is also more fragile. For buyers, it means the window of zero competition is closing fast, especially in the West, where demand is snapping back harder than anywhere else. We also have to talk about affordability, because despite the rate cut, the affordability index here is only 12%. That means that only 12% of households can afford the median priced home across Los Angeles. This tells us that the market is being driven by high income earners and equity rich repeat buyers, not first time buyers. If you're selling, your home needs to appeal to this discerning qualified demographic. They have the money, but they are picky. Now I have a question for you. Are you more worried about interest rates staying high or about the insurance crisis making homes unaffordable? Drop a comment below. Your answer matters because these next changes hit neighborhoods differently depending on where you are and when you plan to move. We established that scarcity is the baseline for single-family homes, but there is a structural force threatening to add friction to every transaction, and that is the insurance crisis. With major carriers limiting policies and the FAIR Plan becoming a costly necessity, insurance has become a hidden tax on ownership. This is turning a simple escrow into a complex hurdle, especially for condos where HOA master policies are skyrocketing. Here is how this plays out. It started when insurance carriers pulled back from California, putting the FAIR Plan under stress. Now we are seeing this drive up monthly costs significantly. For condo owners, this appears as spiking HOA dues. For single family buyers, it appears as a debt debt to income hurdle that can disqualify them at the last minute. Ground zero for this is downtown Long Beach and high density buildings. Buyers are looking at the monthly payments and balking not at the mortgage, but at the dues and insurance premiums. The central conflict of the 2026 market is scarcity versus friction. On one side, we have a structural shortage of single-family homes in neighborhoods like Dorado Park and the Eastside, keeping prices high and timelines short. On the other side, we have the friction of the insurance costs and affordability ceilings dragging on the condo market and the luxury sector in Bixby knows. Doing nothing is also a decision though. If you hold, you're betting that rates will drop fast enough to offset the rising cost of insurance and maintenance. If you sell, you're capitalizing on today's scarcity premium before any potential economic softening depends. So how do you play your cards in this market? If you're selling in the next 3 to 6 months, you don't have to guess about pricing or wonder if your buyer can close. You can avoid the stress of a stale listing by aligning with the data we covered today. You gain the clarity of knowing exactly which lane your home is in, whether it's a sprint, a correction, or a value play. If you want a data-backed game plan for your specific property, click the link in the description to request your equity snapshot or book a one-on-one strategy call. No pressure to list. The goal is to make sure future you is glad you handled it the way you did. I'm Mr. Hernandez, and let's navigate this market together.